Good morning, everyone. My name is Brian Bradley, and I am one of the support specialists here at Chesapeake Technologies, the makers of SonarWiz. In the background, you have Alex Nowak and Harold Olinsky. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what's new in 8.4. Looking back earlier this year, we had two webinars. The first was to show off some of the new features in 8.3. And in that webinar, we talked about the changes that we made to the project settings dialog. And we also made some changes to the import dialog. And they weren't big changes, but they were noticeable. We talked about the new file types that we can import. And that was the Norbit sub-bottom files. Those are the S7K format. And we can also import the high-pack bin files and convert them to SegWi. We also demonstrated how the color palette access has changed. So in older versions of SonarWiz, let's say 8.3 or previous versions, or 8.2 or previous versions, if you wanted to adjust the color palette and you were inside the digitizer, maybe doing some bottom tracking, you had to go back and forth from the interface to the digitizer to adjust the color display. So we moved that button over into the digitizer to speed things up and improve the workflow. We improved some drawing speeds. You would notice that in the map window when you're zooming or zooming out. And we're always trying to improve the drawing speeds and trying to improve the overall speed of SonarWiz. In the grid tool, we added a way to make a boundary around your sonar grid or your bathymetry grid, maybe even a magnetometer grid, so you can control where the grids are actually being generated. So that would be like with a polyline or some type of feature. And then we made some improvements to the patch test report. After the 8.3 webinar, maybe 2 months ago, we had another webinar where we co-hosted an event with Geometrics. And this was to try to show off the new version of SonarWiz that allowed us to work with the mag element magnetometer. And it's our first introduction on how we could work with multi-channel magnetometer files. So we can support up to 4 channels. That includes both data collection. We have a server built just for the Geometrics mag element magnetometer, and up to 4 channels for processing magnetometer data. So that's what was new earlier this year. In 8.4, we fixed a whole lot of bugs, but we added some new features to SonarWiz, and we're going to talk about those today. We've added several tools that allow you to clean up your backup folder that's inside your project directory, as well as repair a corrupted MML file. So we've also improved the contact rationalization tool, where we gave the user a little bit more control. And then we've made some improvements. We've added another feature to the patch test dialog, and we've added a Sidescan resolution calculator. And throughout this year, SonarWiz has rebranded. We have created a new website, and we have our new logo as well. Our website, which we've made a lot of improvements to, has a more modern look. We have, from our website, plenty of places where you can access resources like quick start guides, as well as the SonarWiz 8 user manual. And you can also access support as well. You can reach out to sales all through our new website. So let's talk about some of the features that we've added. So in your project directory, there is a file called an MML file, and that's the file extension that it has. The MML file is the main project INI or definition file. It contains the information related to the current settings as well as the state of the project. It also retains information about the files that you've added and are using inside the project. This MML file, it is binary. You can open it in Notepad and edit it with a text editor. You can open it in XML viewers and things like that. So from time to time, users will be struggling with SonarWiz. They're trying to open a project and it's just not working. SonarWiz is crashing repeatedly. And we suggest to the user that they go and access one of the backup MML files that's stored inside the backup folder and do something like copy it and replace the existing MML file to restore the project. However, now, and this happens kind of automated in the background, when you try to open up a SonarWiz project with a corrupted MML file, you'll get this little window that you see on the left. So this little window is giving you a list of all your backup MML files, and you can choose the one that you would like to open up and restore your SonarWiz project. So that's really handy. And it saves a couple of steps. And it also automatically will tell you that, hey, there's something wrong with your MML file to begin with. Now, I will tell you, if you are trying to open up a SonarWiz project with a corrupted MML file, sometimes it takes a few seconds for it to recognize it, so it opens a little slower. Now, in addition to that, where we've made some improvements in the project directory is what takes place inside the backup folder itself. So if you open up your project directory and you look inside, you'll see a list of folders, and one of them is listed as backup. And inside there, SonarWiz is constantly generating backup MML files for you to use in case there is an issue later on. However, if it's a long-term project, let's say you've been working on this project for a couple of months, you're opening and closing SonarWiz over and over again, it starts to generate numerous 40, 50, 60 backup MML files. And so now in the background, SonarWiz is cleaning up that folder for you. And I think it retains the last 10 MML files. And then as you make a new backup, it will replace the last MML file. So those are some of the improvements that are happening inside the project directory, and it works really well. So you can test this out. However, you will see this happening. This will happen in the background as you're using SonarWiz. So another improvement that we've added is in the patch test window. So in SonarWiz, when performing a patch test, the user drags a profile across or along a couple of bathymetry data files in the map window. And then the patch test dialog will appear, and you could go through and choose if you want to run a patch test and keep the offsets. The older patch text calculation was based off sonar points that were directly underneath that profile that you drew across the bathymetry. This newly added feature allows for the profile line to capture more than just the data that is directly under that line. This allows the user to specify the number of points left or right, as well as the points that are combined in the center. And this should help eliminate flyers and eliminate out a little bit of the uncertainty. Another tool that we've added is in the GeoTIFF export dialogues. Many users come to and ask how much detail can they get from a sonar file, or how much resolution they can expect in their sonar mosaic. And oftentimes, the user is expecting a better resolution than what the sonar can actually provide. So we've added into the GeoTIFF export dialog a calculate button. And when you click on that, that opens up the Sidescan sonar resolution calculator. So what this tool does is it computes the optimal image resolution based on sonar specifications, and it automatically will fill this value out into the export resolution field. So users can do this a couple of ways. They have the option to choose from a library of sonar manufacturers that we have gone through and found the information that's part of the calculation, or they can input their information themselves. So what's part of this calculation would be the horizontal beam angle, as well as transducer length and frequency. So if you choose, like let's say the EdgeTech 4125, if you choose that out of our list of libraries, it's going to automatically fill out the horizontal beam angle and transducer length and frequencies. And you just need to tell SonarWiz how wide a range are you collecting data on, and then it will calculate out your optimum resolution. So that's going to be a really helpful tool moving forward in SonarWiz 8.4. So one of the last improvements I want to talk about is the new Rationalized contact tool. So what we've done is we allowed the user to have a little more control over where the placement of the Rationalized contact is, as well as what image they can use for their Rationalized contact. So what's a Rationalized contact? A Rationalized contact is a contact that has been generated based off an average of 2 or more observations of the same target. So Sidescan sonar is, especially ones that are towed, can be a little inaccurate, horizontally speaking. And when we pass over an object multiple times, sometimes there's a separation between the object on different sonar files. So this could be due to offsets, layback, cable length, and so on. So we use Rationalized contacts to take a calculated estimation of where the object probably is on the seafloor. So how it works is you, the user, would go through and flag that same target in multiple locations with a contact. And in older versions of SonarWiz, you'd go through and grab all of those contacts, and from a right-click menu option, select Rationalized contacts. And then SonarWiz will take the position of those contacts, average out those positions, and provide you a new Rationalized contact. You didn't really have much control over what was taking place. Now, with the Rationalized contacts tool, when you use that same right-click menu option, this window that you see here on the left will pop up, the Target Rationalization tool. So at the top, the prefix is what prefix do you want to provide for the new name of the Rationalized contact. And as you've gone through and selected a bunch of contacts, each contact is going to have an image for that contact. And now you could select the image that you want if maybe there's one that's better than the other out of all of your contacts. And then just beneath the image area, you have a place where you could, if you know where that target's actual location is, whether it be X, Y, and lat and long, you could punch that information in as the Rationalized contact position, or you can use the pick option, which allows you to take your cursor and click on the map window on a sonar file, and that will be your new Rationalized contact position. Or you can use the average. And then a little bit further down in that dialog, you have the ability, if you've gone through and edited all the contacts in the contact editor, and you've taken all the measurements of the length, the width, and the height of that contact, you have the option now to choose that Rationalized contact. You could choose if you want to use the maximum lengths or the average lengths that you've gone through and taken measurements of in the contact editor. So that's a big improvement for Rationalized contacts. All these improvements and all the additions, the repairs, the bug fixes, all of that comes from SonarWiz users, your suggestions and your responses, what we see in support, and the suggestions and feature requests that you've made. So if you would like to improve SonarWiz, or maybe you've seen something that is broken inside SonarWiz, surely you can reach out to us and let us know. We would love to hear from you. So I'd also like to point out that in December, we have our annual training workshop, and that's going to be in Savannah, Georgia, December 8th through the 12th. I'd love to see you guys there. We'd love to see you all there. And that kind of wraps up what we wanted to talk about today in SonarWiz 8.4. We appreciate those of you who have joined us today. Of course, you can always reach out to us if you have any more questions later on. You can reach out to us through the website ChesapeakeTech.com. All right, everyone. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and we will talk to you later.